Imagine this. A charming, handsome young man with a bright smile walks up to a college girl on a sunny afternoon, asking for help loading something into his car. She trusts him. Minutes later, she's gone, vanished without a trace. That man, Ted Bundy, one of the most infamous serial killers in American history. And today, we're diving deep into his dark, twisted story, from his confusing childhood to his brutal crimes, dramatic escapes, and chilling final moments. Buckle up, because this is the full, unfiltered tale of Ted Bundy. It all started on November 24, 1946, in Burlington, Vermont. Ted was born Theodore Robert Cowell to a young, unmarried mother named Eleanor Louise Cowell. To avoid the shame of being an unwed mother in the 1940s, Ted was raised by his grandparents and told that his mom was actually his older sister. Yeah, you heard that right. His real mother was pretending to be his sibling. That kind of lie, it messes with a kid's head. His biological father? A mystery. Some say it was a sailor, others a salesman. No one really knows. When Ted was 4, his mom married a military cook named Johnny Bundy, and Ted took his last name. But he never bonded with his stepdad. He later called him low-class and unintelligent. Family photos show a cute kid with a bowl haircut, but behind those eyes, something dark was already stirring. Growing up in Washington State, Ted seemed like your average boy, scouting, church, decent grades. But there were cracks. He admitted to peeping into windows at night, spying on neighbors. He talked about feeling different, like he didn't belong. Some say he tortured animals. Others remember him as shy but polite. Either way, the seeds of something dangerous were planted early. Fast forward to college. Ted was smart, really smart. He studied psychology at the University of Washington and graduated in 1972. He worked on political campaigns, volunteered at a suicide hotline, ironic, right? And even got accepted into law school. To the outside world, he was charming, ambitious, the kind of guy you'd want your daughter to date. But that was the mask. Underneath, Ted Bundy was hunting. His killing spree began in 1974. His victims? Young women with long brown hair, parted in the middle. College students, mostly. His method was terrifyingly simple. He'd fake an injury, put his arm in a sling, wear a cast, and ask for help carrying books or groceries to his tan Volkswagen Beetle. Once they were near the car, he'd strike. A crowbar to the head. Handcuffs. Then he'd drive them to secluded spots, forests, mountains, where he'd rape, strangle, and sometimes keep the bodies for days. He even admitted to going back to the dump sites to be with them again. Necrophilia. It's as sick as it sounds. The body count climbed fast. Washington, Oregon, Utah, Colorado. He'd abduct women in one state, kill in another, dump the remains miles away. Police couldn't connect the dots at first. No internet, no nationwide databases. Just missing girls and terrified communities. In 1974 alone, he killed at least 8 women in Washington state. One of the most brazen attacks? Lake Sammamish State Park in broad daylight. 2 women, Janice Ott and Denise Naslund, vanished within hours of each other. Witnesses remembered a handsome guy named Ted with his arm in a sling asking for help with his sailboat. That was him. By 1975, Bundy had moved to Utah for law school. That's where police finally caught a break. In August, a cop pulled over a suspicious Volkswagen Beetle. Inside, handcuffs, a ski mask, rope, an ice pick. Ted claimed it was for burglary tools. Yeah, right. He was arrested. Evidence linked him to the murder of Karen Campbell in Colorado. But Ted, he didn't stay locked up for long. In June 1977, during a court appearance in Aspen, he jumped out a second-story window and escaped into the mountains. 6 days later, he was caught. But he wasn't done. On December 30th, 1977, he sawed through his jail cell ceiling, crawled through the vents, and walked out the front door wearing civilian clothes. He made it all the way to Florida. That's where he lost control. In January 1978, He broke into the Chi Omega sorority house at Florida State University. In just 15 minutes, he bludgeoned two women to death, Margaret Bowman and Lisa Levy, and brutally attacked two more. Bite marks on Lisa's body became key evidence later. Hours later, he kidnapped and murdered 12-year-old Kimberly Leach, his youngest victim. This time, he left too many clues. On February 15, 1978, a cop in Pensacola pulled over a stolen Volkswagen. It was Ted. Game over. The trials were a circus. Ted fired his lawyers and represented himself. He cross-examined witnesses, smirked at the jury, even proposed to a girlfriend in court. The evidence was overwhelming. Hair fibers, bite mark analysis, eyewitnesses. In 1979, he was convicted of the Chi Omega murders and sentenced to death. In 1980, same for Kimberly Leach. On death row, he finally started talking. He confessed to 30 murders across 6 states. But the real number? Some say 40. Others say over 100. We'll never know. While awaiting execution, Ted became a media sensation. Interviews, books, documentaries. Psychologists studied him. FBI agents learned from him. He described killing like it was a craft, detached, clinical. No remorse. Just pride. On January 24, 1989, Ted Bundy was strapped into Florida's electric chair, nicknamed Old Sparky. Outside the prison, crowds cheered as the switch was flipped. At 7:16 a.m., he was pronounced dead. His last words? Reportedly, he said nothing, just stared ahead. Ted Bundy wasn't a monster with horns and fangs. He was a law student, a boyfriend, a charmer who blended in. And that's what makes him so terrifying. Evil doesn't always look evil. Sometimes it smiles, asks for help, and drives a Volkswagen. Thanks for joining me on this dark journey through one of history's most chilling killers. If this story shook you, hit that like button, subscribe for more true crime deep dives, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe out there.